The Miami Dolphins finish their preseason undefeated at 2-0-1. It was ugly at the beginning. We got a lot to talk about, but they finished that preseason off with a 14-6 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars in Miami Gardens, Florida at Hard Rock. We got a lot to discuss. I'll go over some people who I think could be surprise cuts, some people who could be surprise keeps, and a whole lot more. Do me the favor, smash that like button. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. And as always, let's get into this.
Loses the football. The touchdown. Got it.
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score. Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown.
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown.
He's going deep. He's going to open a touchdown again. Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one. The Miami Dolphins are coming off a 14-6 victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where they finished their preseason undefeated. But guess what? It's 10:17 p.m. on Saturday, August 23rd, and that means Jack Bo Diddley, because we are getting ready for week one against the Colts in just a couple of weeks, and that's when the reps, the snaps, the games, that's when it all starts to matter. So we got a lot to talk about in regards to tonight. As you come through, do me the favor, smash that like button. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. Turn on that bell for notifications. So I just want to give a PSA. I don't know whether I'm going to do it tonight or whether I'm going to do it tomorrow, but it is coming within the next 24 hours. I got a big update coming to my Patreon and to channel members. We're going to have a lot to talk about, from stuff I heard, keeping my ears to the ground while I was down in Miami at training camp. I don't know if you had the chance to see, but your boy was even in the building. I was on field while they were laying the sod in Hard Rock Stadium for today's game. Got to see the trophies, got to see the visitors' locker room. We got to walk in and get a glance at the home locker room. It was a good time down in Miami. So I got a lot to discuss in terms of things I was hearing while I was down there. So Patreon's channel members, be prepared for that juicy update. That will be coming to you within the next 24 hours. It could be tonight. It could be tomorrow. If you are not a Patreon and want to join, just look at the bottom of the screen and go ahead and go use that Patreon link if you want to go become a Patreon. You can also hit me on PayPal, paypal.me/PhinSideNFL. But if you want to become a YouTube member or a Patreon member, down below, you know what to do, all right? So, let's get into some things here, all right? All right. Let's start off with today. First thing I got to say, some of my takeaways from what happened today, Larry Borum. I mean, what are we saying here? Okay? This man needs to be cut. I mean, this guy's not a swing tackle. It's Jack Driscoll 2.0. He's missing assignments. He's going to get to it, probably killed. I can't believe 3 got home on a sack, and he was one of the main culprits. Now, sticking with the starting offensive line, Jonas Savaianaya. Okay? Struggling in pass pro. Bottom half is shaky. The footwork needs to be cleaned up. And he too missed an assignment tonight. But, man, at least Jonah's an absolute monster in the run game. All right. Like, we can deal with him struggling a little in pass pro as he starts to get acclimated to the left guard position, a position he never played before. I'm not going to talk about it again, but I've said it before. I'm not going to beat this dead horse, but you already know how I feel. You should have started Savai at right guard and had James Daniels, who's already been successful at the NFL level, at left guard. It would have been probably much, much easier of a transition for Jonas Savai. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. Hopefully it does work out. I think it will. Jonah's going to get it down. He'll be fine. But Larry Borum, I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, we're talking about 53-man cuts coming up. He would probably be at the top of my list of guys I'm looking to replace if anyone hits the waiver wire. Now, listen, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. I wouldn't expect too much off the waiver wire. All right? I believe the number was what? I think about 1,200 players. There's about over 1,100 players last year that got cut, and only about, I think it was like 22 got claimed. It's a very low number that get claimed, compared to how many people got cut. So I wouldn't be holding my breath, right? Because this turns into a thing where, do you want to step on other teams' toes, right? Because a lot of teams have good business relationships, and they don't want to go after guys that they know. It's just a little whole buddy thing, right? So, I'll tell you to temper your expectations, all that. CD Alpha says Greer already extended Borum. Oh my God. And you're going to want to check out that update if you are a channel member or a Patreon, because we're going to talk about this year and this season and how real it is. They can't afford Borum. But Jonah's struggling a little bit. Listen, I think when Austin Jackson, and we're going to talk about Austin Jackson in that same update too. I think when Austin Jackson eventually does come back, we'll be fine. We will be fine in that. Like, I will say, the first day I was at practice, Jackson was in a boot. Second day I was at then the next day when I was at joint practice, I noticed him in the second half of practice. He wasn't in a boot. So, and that's the thing. Like, as long Jonah's got to clean up the pass pro stuff, but I'm talking about as a team running the football to that left and right side is going to be nasty this year when everyone's healthy. This can be a top 15 line if everyone stays healthy, but the leaks and the cracks in the foundation are going to start to show if one of these guys get hurt and you got to rely on a Borum, an Eichenberg. I mean, I'm more intrigued with Braden Daniels, Josh Preby, and Addison West than I am with those guys at this point. I'm just being honest with you. So I think right now, man, I'll tell you, there are two things I'd be looking to add if I'm Chris Greer on cutdown day. The best available corner, and we're also going to talk about Asante Samuel in that update. You're going to want to check out that update. I got coming for you. It's going to be loaded. But listen, the fact of the matter is, you either need a corner or you need a tackle. Or you need both. I'm not comfortable with our swing tackle position. Just like, I mean, what are we going to do? Throw Keon Smith back there now? I told you Borum wasn't good. I told you Keon Smith wasn't good. And there's people in the chat, and there's people on X. They already knew this. I didn't have to tell them nothing. They already knew what time it was. There's a collective of us that have told you that these guys aren't the answers. Dylan, you're not going to get two starters on the wire, bro. I will say this. We're going to keep my takeaways here. Dantzler looked pretty good. I will say Dantzler, a surprise guy who looked pretty good to me was Cam Dantzler today. He was making a lot of good tackles. He had a lot of, listen, Michael Desire says, just another year of excuses. Sir, let me tell you this. This is not a year of excuses for Let me tell you that. Or I'll give you a little sneak preview of my Patreon update and channel member update coming. There ain't no excuses this year, brother. None. Oh, our depth is miserable. Just because you have 10 draft picks doesn't mean they're all good. Now, this draft was good, but our depth is miserable. Liam Eichenberg, Larry Borum. The depth on the offensive line is not good. I would say the interior, the third stringers are more intriguing than the second stringers. I've said this. Addison West, Josh Preby, more intriguing. Everyone's in love with everyone's in love with Andrew Meyer, who's hurt right now. Raise your hand if you released a all-22 breakdown before the season started last year, telling all y'all that Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg weren't the answers, but Andrew Meyer was more intriguing than them. Yeah, I'm going to raise my hand because I dropped that video. I told y'all Andrew Meyer was going to be intriguing before everyone was even talking about him. And I'll give you another guy who looks intriguing. Let's keep with my takeaways right now. And speaking of, right, maybe I'll do a video on this. I don't know. Tanner Conner, I'm sorry. You got to end this. You got to end this. And Michael Desire, I get what you're saying, but you got to remember the other thing you're not thinking about or you're not, pointing to right now is this was a problem with all the trades they've made to fill in roster spots. They've given up draft capital, which could have been better depth players we could be talking about right now. But they traded that away. And the Chubb trades, the Tyreek trades, et cetera, right? So those are guys we could have, second, third, fourth. Those are guys we want to hit on depth, right? But Tanner Conner here. This experiment, what are we doing here? 3 years in running, and he's still running the wrong routes. Like, we're going to talk about my surprise potential cuts and my surprise potential stays. I'll give you one right now. This is what I would do. Let's say you're going to keep 3 tight ends, right? And let's say you're not overly thrilled with Pharaoh Brown because he was okay. He was okay this preseason. Now, I think I think our 3 tight ends are going to be Julian Hill, Darren Waller, and Pharaoh Brown. But let's just say you were thinking about, no, we got to get rid of Pharaoh. I wouldn't even have Tanner Conner as that guy. You know who was impressive tonight? And I know when I go back and watch the film, I'm going to like what I saw again. And we've highlighted him a few times when I have done the film breakdowns of the preseason. Hayden Rucci. I would keep Hayden. You want a hot take right now? I'd keep Hayden Rucci on the, shout out to Jennifer Forbush. I'd keep Hayden Rucci on the 53 before I kept Tanner Conner on the 53. You want a really hot take? I don't even call that a really hot take. The DC Monroe says we could have had Creed. Brother, go back and watch watch the stream. When we traded up for Liam Eichenberg, I hated the move. And I was saying, Creed Humphrey's still on the board. What are you doing? And then Creed Humphrey went a couple picks later. He went at 50. 110%, I agree with you. That should have been a shoo-in. Who made that call? But Hayden Rucci, man, a couple nice blocks today. Springing running backs for touchdowns. Hayden Rucci is good. And remember when we kept him on the practice squad last season, very similar to how I'm treating AJ Henning right now. What I keep telling all y'all, I'm intrigued by Henning. I want him to get on the practice squad and see what he has next year at camp. I'm really intrigued by AJ Henning. You guys know this. Whether you follow me on X or you watch here, you know this. I was the same way with Hayden Rucci last year. Let him get a year in the building. Let him come back next year for camp where he has it, he understands what's going to be expected of him in OTAs. And let's see what he's got. And I think Hayden Rucci has improved. I said it last year. I'll tell you again. I said this last year when Hayden Rucci was at UDFA. I'm more intrigued with this guy than I am with Julian Hill. And I still am. I'm on, hey, you know what we started over here? The Gucci Rucci, baby. I'm all about him. Let's go. I'm more intrigued with him than I am with Julian Hill, for real. Julian Hill's supposed to be the strongest player on the team. Ugh. Well, I'll tell you where he's not strong at his mental game with all the errors and mistakes and penalties he makes. On top of that, has he really been consistently a great blocker? No. For a guy who's the strongest, how many times has he, you know? I'm just... And I think Hayden Rucci offers more upside as a catcher. So, you want a hot take? I'd keep, if you were going to carry 4, or if you were going to replace Farrell Brown, I'd keep Hayden Rucci over Tanner Connor. And that Tanner Connor, that experiment needs to end. Offensively, the ones, first 2 drives were not good. All right. Obviously, the bright spot of all 3 drives was Malik Washington. I'd give him my game ball today. He solidified wide receiver 3 in my mind. Malik Washington is that dude. Y'all know I loved him since we added him. Y'all know I've been hyping him since last year. And y'all know there's been people in the chat who loved him just as much as I did and were hyping him just as much as I was. Again, a collective us, we're trying to tell y'all this kid's going to be special, while some of these beat reporters were telling y'all, slow down the hype. He doesn't look like he's going to be that good last year at training camp. Again, because they don't know how to watch film. They don't watch the film. Malik's wide receiver 3 for me. You want to even have a real conversation? Are Taj Washington and D. Eskridge higher than Nick Westbrook-Akine right now? There is zero chemistry with Nick Westbrook-Akine and Tua Tagovailoa. Brother, I've loved Malik. You know me, George. I've loved Malik since we added him. That's my guy right there. And I told everyone he'd become our slot guy and one of the better slot guys in the NFL. Sure looks like it's going to be that. But anyways, I digress. Nick Westbrook-Akine. I mean, there's just no trust in chemistry. I might. The only thing that's holding me back from saying it is the size and the money. But if you came up to me and said, your reason, here's the order of our depth chart at receiver: Tyreek, Waddle, Malik, Taj, I would say no argument from me, brother, or sister, or alien, whatever you are, wherever you are watching this. That's what I would say. Tajay Washington has been freaking impressive. Freaking impressive. And if you came up to me and said, hey, reason, I'd even got D. Eskridge over him, you're not going to hear an argument from me. The problem is none of these guys got size. That's why I was so high on Theo Weiss. Again, Theo Weiss had a strong game when he was in with Ewers, but they're going to try and sneak him on the practice squad. I hope they can. Hayden Rucci, AJ Henning and Theo Weiss, they're tied for me as 2 guys I'm really intrigued for if they can get to the practice squad and keep the next year. I love Theo Weiss. I think this kid's going to be good, man. Just give him some time. And they gave him a lot of money, too, if I remember correctly. So, man, I can't believe we went from last year having to rely on OBJ to this year. We're afraid of cutting UDFAs. Now, I go back to what I said earlier. Over 1,100 players are going to get cut, and only like 22 got claimed last year. Eazy-E is not going to make the cut. It's over. It's done with. As much as I'm going to sit here and tell you Tanner Connor, that experiment needs to end, I'll keep, I got to keep it consistent. I think that Eazy-E, I think that whole little experiment needs to end. But the offensive ones, to his game today, it was, he was okay. All right. He didn't have a chance to get in a rhythm early on because, let's be honest, the offensive line was not good. Now, I also think, again, it's a preseason, so you can do stuff you won't usually do in the regular season. I also would have been mixing more Gordon in on those first 2 drives than what you were giving him. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Now, again, it's preseason, so I'm not going to sit here and absolutely destroy Mike McDaniel over it at all by any stretch of the imagination. But, I mean, you ran 4 plays. You had an 11-yard gain to Washington that came back because of a Savai penalty, but you had 4 passing plays and then a punt. Second drive, you have 3 and out. Your first play is Ollie Gordon for 5 yards on the ground. Then you drop to a back for a sack. And then incomplete because Connor ran the wrong route. That's also why I'm hammering Tanner Connor right now. Go back and you'll be able to watch the film when it comes out. Tanner Connor ran the wrong route. That's what happened there too. That's what I said earlier. 3 years on this team. Remember, he was a surprise addition 3 years ago, and you still don't understand this offense and what's asked of you, and you still don't know how to still don't understand leverage and how to run the right routes. That's an issue. That's an issue. But I think McDaniel should have been, Ollie Gordon should have been getting, you ended up carrying Ollie Gordon into what? Ollie Gordon was, I believe he was, I don't think he was, he was in there till the end of the second, right? I think he was in there till the end of the second. Yeah, he was in there for the first 2 quarters. If you're going to run this kid for the first 2 quarters, why aren't you starting him off with the ones early? Now, I will have an update on HN and my big update coming to Patreon and for channel members in the next 24 hours. I will have an update on that too. But yeah, I would have been trying to, get him involved a lot more. So now I know they tried a little screen him on 1st and 15 that I believe was batted down. But no, you got to hand that ball off and let him run. That's the strength of, listen, I'm going to tell you right now. That's the strength of this offensive line right now, is running the football. Ollie didn't get hurt. He took a helmet to the thigh, but then he came back. He was good. The strength of this offensive line, that's how do you think you hide Jonas Savai's weaknesses in pass pro right now as you get acclimated to that left side? It's running the football. Now, it's the preseason, so I'm not going to hammer him. But I bet the reason why I'm even bringing it up is because, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen this trend before. Okay, we've seen this trend in the regular season of when he overly commits to the pass and doesn't know when to have great and proper balance between the run and the pass. We especially see it in the red zone. We'll have the run get us all the way down. We'll have the running game get us all the way down inside the 20, and then all of a sudden we become pass happy. Like we got Dan Marino back there with that stellar offensive line from the 90s. And yeah, Tua is the second best quarterback in terms of as a passer that's ever put on a Dolphins jersey. Yes, he was better than Bob Greasy. Is he as accomplished as Bob Greasy? Hell no, obviously because of the Super Bowls. But as a passer, obviously he's better than Bob Greasy. But we don't even have anywhere near that offensive line from the 90s in terms of pass pro. So that's the reason why I'm bringing it up, and that's the reason why I'm even harping on it a little bit, because we've seen this story before. This isn't something new where it's like, oh, okay, well, it's just preseason. He's not normally like that. No, it's the preseason, and he's normally like that in the regular season. You got to commit to Ollie more. You have to. He looks like it. And listen, continuing with these takeaways here, okay? I got to say this. And I'm going to put it in the chat. Who? I want to know in the chat right now, okay? I'm going to put a poll in the chat. And you can let me know in the comments too. Who is your running back 2 right now? You got to let me know in the chat. Is it Wright or OG 31? And people want to call him OG 2. No, I'm going by his jersey number because people are going to confuse it with his jersey number. So I call him OG 31 right now. Who is your right now? Who is your running back 2? Because listen, I thought, the way I was, the intel I was getting on how hard Jalen was working, who he's working with, man, I thought the right stuff was ready to take, and what we saw in year 1, I thought Wright was ready to take another step and really become that 1-2 punch. And I was told, McDaniel told Achan and Wright at the end of last season that we're going to make you guys the best 1-2 punch in football. And Wright is just, man, he's hesitant behind the line of scrimmage. You could see the vision looks like it's regressed. He's not running decisively, and it's costing him right now. And if some, again, we talked about the running back, the wide receiver position. Let's talk about the running back position. If someone came up to me and said, Reason, Ollie Gordon is my running back, my thunder to the lightning of Achan, you're not going to hear an argument from me right now. He's earned it. He's earned that kind of love right now. He's earned being put on that RB2 pedestal. I don't know what else to tell you. He runs hard and he falls forward. I love it. So, Wright's digging himself into a hole where he's going to have to try and climb out of. And the thing is, the hole keeps getting deeper because not only does Wright have a shovel with what he's doing to himself in this play, but OG31's there with a shovel helping him dig because of how good he's playing and how much he's taking advantage of his opportunities right now. Now, I said Malik Washington got my offensive game ball. Ollie Gordon had 8 carries for 43 yards. He averaged 5.4 yards per carry tonight. That is fantastic. So, it's tough sledding for Jalen Wright. Now, let's talk a little bit of the defense, all right? And what I saw, my takeaways on defense, all right? So, the defensive ones, they showed up early. I mean, Chop Robinson special, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to keep bringing it up, and I'm going to keep pointing in your face. Come on. Was I right or was I right about Chop? Okay, that's number one. Because I know you diehards like Robert Thompson and all you who watch this show in and out. You know how long I was talking about Chop, man. Okay. Was I right or was I right? Okay. Number two, all of you that were box score watching, kind of like how you did to Jordan Love when I love Jordan Love. All of you that were box, look at his stock numbers. He's not going to be nothing. Man, not only do you look dumb for doing that, we're going to talk about another player who's going to make you dumb for taking that approach. But Chop Robinson is special, man. All of you that were calling him a bust after the first 6 weeks of last year should be ashamed of yourselves. Should be ashamed of yourselves. And I don't want to hear nothing, just like I told all of y'all who were out here telling us Tua would never lead the lead in passing. Tua would never be a Pro Bowler. Tua would never do this. Tua would never do that. And he did all of it except to win a playoff game. But y'all said he would never be anything as a passer or anything as a starter in this league. Just like I don't want to hear your opinions on the quarterback position anymore. All of y'all that were out here calling Chop a bust after 6 weeks, I don't want to hear your opinions on the edge position anymore. Y'all know nada, nothing, nada. Okay? So, shout out to Chop, man. You watch the defense, and you know they have an identity. You watch the defense, and you know that they have an identity. And that's the best thing about it. That's the most comfortable thing about this. You just know they have an identity when you watch this defense. But all y'all that were hating on Chop, man. All of y'all that were hating on Chop, man, you owe that man an apology and a handwritten apology. For real. So, that pass rush could be deadly this year. You could see why they're not overly concerned with the back end as much as we are now. Is that justified? I don't know. Time will tell on that. But Jordan Phillips, man, that's what I was talking about and hinting towards when I was just talking about Chop. All of you that were score box watching, stat box watching, and not watching the film and passing judgment, I heard y'all doing the same with Jordan Phillips. 19-year-old kid. This kid is young. He's 20 now, right? But he was 19 last season. He's 20 years old. The upside is tremendous. This guy's going to take Benito's job by week 6. He's taking that job by midseason. You can bet your bottom dollar in the last one you made last week. He's taking that job. And I feel like we're talking about it every week, how big of a monster Jordan Phillips is right now. This kid is good, ladies and gentlemen. A couple other things I want to talk about defensively. I thought John Sanders has been phenomenal this preseason. I really have. He had the interception and the long return today. I think he's been phenomenal. John Sanders has been very, very impressive, if you ask me. All right? I think you got something there. He looks more impressive than where Patrick McMorris is at right now. He looks more impressive, obviously, than a couple other guys back there. Like, I think he's better than Jordan Colbert right now. We don't know what we have in Dante Trader. But with Ashton Davis still hurt, John Sanders, interesting situation. I thought Zeke Biggers was pretty good tonight, too. Matt Dickerson was, it kind of seems like they're trying to hide him to slide him to the practice squad. Derek McClendon, up and down night. Eugene Asante, that's going to be a tough one for them. What do you do with Eugene Asante? The kid looks explosive, great athleticism. He's making plays, but he still has things he needs to clear up in his game, but he offers you special teams help. What was interesting to me was, correct me if I'm wrong, but it didn't look like Grayson Murphy got very many snaps out there. I don't know whether that was by design or he's made the I don't know what the issue is right there. So, but I did find that interesting that there wasn't very many snaps. So, we'll keep an eye on that for sure. In terms of the corner room, it kind of seems like, Duck Storm and Jack Jones will probably be your starters, along with, Jason Marshall Jr. I think Jason Marshall Jr. and John Sanders were probably your most impressive rookies in the secondary so far this preseason. Now, Cam Smith, what do you do there? Cam Smith has made a couple plays the last couple weeks. He looked good again tonight, showed some physicality. Well, what do you do there? Especially when you're so thin at that position. With the talent's always not been the question. It's been the guy's work ethic and what he's been doing up here mentally. So I think Ethan Bonner definitely makes the team too. Isaiah Johnson, I don't know if he's gonna. I don't think if he's gonna make it. I don't know if he's gonna make this team. So players got to be cut this Tuesday by 4 p.m. if I remember correctly, J-Boy. Now you've seen teams today have already been releasing players since they finished their last preseason game. So we could have news by tomorrow on people getting released. So we'll see how it continues to play out. All right. Now, I do want to talk about a few things as well. Let's talk about, I got to give you some surprise cuts. I'll give you 3 players who I think could be surprise cuts. All right. Let's start with the edge room. All right. Mo Kamara. Is this guy making this team after they drafted him last year? That's Mo Kamara. Right now, Cam Goods look better than him. Let's be real. McClendon's look better than him. Grayson Murphy's look better than him. That's a stacked edge room, and I don't know if there's much room for Mo Kamara right now. Maybe they try to slide him to the practice squad. I'll give you another name. Quentin Bell. Do you keep Quentin Bell? And that's a good point, DC Monroe. You're right. Cam Good and Grayson Murphy have been playing special teams, and Grayson Murphy's been getting a lot of reps. But do you keep Quentin Bell right now? All y'all that hyped them up, and I told y'all the people that were hyping up from the beat reporters to some people at camp, and then I went down to camp and I said, yo, what is this Quentin Bell hype about? Do you keep Quentin Bell? Like, let me ask you this. If getting rid of Quentin Bell and Mo Kamara meant you could keep Grayson Murphy and Cam Good, what are you doing? I know I'm taking Cam Good and Grayson Murphy over those two. You know, Quentin Bell just doesn't look like he's been anything worth rostering right now. So, I mean, we'll see with Quentin Bell, but him and Mo, to me, I'll give you those surprise cuts. And my third surprise cut is Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton, when he's been out there, hasn't looked great. Jason Marshall has emerged and, dare I say, might have taken his spot. I'll tell you right now, I don't think he's going to get cut because he got moved from safety to nickel by the Browns. But if somehow Nick Needham got cut, I would be all over Nick Needham and Jason Marshall Jr. over Mike Hilton. I don't think BJ Adams makes the team, no. He's going to get slid to they're trying to try and slide him to the practice squad. But Mike Hilton, man. You know, they love Kendall Sheffield, who can play in the slot. Right? You know? Because I think your starting corners are on the boundary are Jack Jones and Duck Storm. Kendall Sheffield can play in the slot. He can also play the boundary. But then you got Ethan Bonner and Cam Smith, who can also play on the boundary. And then Jason... Would you be shocked if they go with Kendall Sheffield and they go with Jason Marshall Jr. as your nickels? Because remember, Sheffield can contribute on special teams as well. Mike Hilton hasn't looked great. So to me, that's interesting how that could go right there. 110%. Those will be my 3 surprise cuts I'll give you guys. All right? That is what I'm going to give you in terms of my surprise cut. Now, I'll give you some people that I think could be surprise keeps. We talked about him earlier. John Sanders. You know, Minka Melifanu, Ashton Davis, and Elijah Campbell are locks. So is Dante Trader. Right? Last year, the Miami Dolphins, they went in with only 4 safeties, but Ashton Davis is hurt right now. What if Ashton Davis's injury doesn't allow him to start? And Trader Jr. is hurt right now. He can't stay healthy. Does this potentially open up a window for John Sanders Jr.? That would be a surprise keep for me that I think deserves a look. He'd be at the top of that list for me. He's been good, I've thought. I think a surprise keep that could make the team is Eugene Asante. Right? I don't think Channing Tindall's making this team. I don't think Daquan Jackson's going to make the team. I think Eugene Asante is another surprise keep. For sure. I would put Eugene Asante into that category. And then if I had to give you a third... because I think Benito, Phillips, Zeke Biggers, Zach Sealer, and Kenneth Grant are making this team, I'd give Mac Dickerson as your third, probably. But yeah, John Sanders, Eugene Asante, and then Matt Dickerson would be my surprise keeps. I mean, you can throw Hayden Rucci in there, but I don't think Hayden Rucci is going to get kept. I think those 3 got a better chance. You know, You could throw Theo Weiss in there, who I really want them to keep, but I don't think they're going to keep more than 6 receivers. Now, if Nick Westbrook-Akine ends up being a surprise cut, then maybe, but I doubt that. I doubt that happening. I think they're going to carry 6. Tyreek, Waddle, Malik, Westbrook-Akine, Taj, and D. Eskridge. So, I think Braden Daniels, Preeby, and Addison West are going to get slid to the practice squad. Now, does Daniel Brunskill make this team? That's a legitimate conversation to have right now. Does Daniel Brunskill make this team? I know we were all high on him when they brought him over, but he hasn't been overly impressive. He hasn't been overly impressive at all. Daniel Brunskill hasn't been that impressive at all. Now, they've moved him around from guard to center, but he just hasn't been that great. McMorris, I don't think McMorris makes his team. I think he's practice squad. I think Tanner Conner does get cut. I think the 3 they're going to roll with are Julian Hill, Waller, and Farrell Brown. So, but maybe they shot, that would be a surprise keep for me, is if they kept Tanner Conner. So, man, interesting. The running back room, I think they only keep 3. I think it's Achane, Wright, and it's Ollie Gordon. I don't think Boone or Shamplin make the team, and then they keep Alec Ingold as well. So, I mean, we're probably not even going to have time to do a 53-man roster prediction, huh? Because they're going to be getting rid of them. And I would have done it this week, but obviously I was down in Miami. So, yeah. Man, it's going to be interesting. Now, if they do wait out, if they were going to wait till Tuesday, then I would do it on Monday, but we'll see. We'll see. Ty Blake, just go ahead. If you go to the channel, and you can go ahead, and if you want to become a membership, just go next to Inside the NFL. There's a join button, and try using that. All right. And if that doesn't work, there is a direct link down in the chat, in the description. If you go down in the description, I do have the direct link in the description if that join button isn't working for you. So, but just hit the join button. That'll be the easiest thing for you to do. Just hit that join button. All right. So, man, Dolphins, they end this preseason undefeated. And we are going to get into an interesting 72 hours as this roster is going to take shape. And Darren Waller, I mean, he's basically got 2.5 weeks to get ready here. And Jonas Ioannidis has 2.5 weeks to clean up the pass pro issues and get back to the kid we remember at Arizona. But, I mean, hey, he's learning on the whole opposite side right now with his body, learning to lead with it. Everything he's doing, his first step, everything is now his hand placement. It's being led with all that new side of the body for him. So I'm actually planning on bringing Ball Game and Richmond back this week for the finish line. So we'll talk to him. We'll pick Richmond's brain about what he's thought about the offensive line. All right. So the finish line will return this week. Me and Dougley, the starting lineup, will be returning soon as well. So, man, the content is about to pick up, and we got the dead time. We got about 2.5 weeks until the season starts. So, man, everything's about to ramp up. It's about to get exciting right now. This is one of the best times of the year. This is what we've all waited for since January, basically. Football is back. You can feel it in the air, and it's a beautiful thing. So, Dolphins stay undefeated. But like I said earlier, that means Jack Bo Diddley. Now it's time to put up or shut up. All right? Now it is time for the play calls to matter, and for now for us to be rightfully critical if things don't go the way they should for us. Should handle the Colts, and I'll tell you this much. If we see a lot of what we saw in those first 2 drives against the Colts early on in the game, I can already hear it now. And you know what? I'm not going to defend. I'm not going to defend it. It's going to be justified. So we're close to finding out exactly what we got here. All right. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Until then, fins up all day, every day. Love y'all.